All right, guys, we're going to call this guy who's got a property. Apparently, he's a broker as well. So I think this conversation is probably going to go relatively nowhere. It seems like he wants retail for the property and everything. So we'll see what happens.
Hello?
Hi, is this Kara?
Kara?
I'm sorry, who's this?
Kara?
Kara, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
This is Chris. You'd spoke with my colleague Erica about your property there on Oakbrook?
Yes.
So yeah, what's going on, man? That's a rental you own, right?
Yes, correct.
What's having you want to get rid of this at this point?
I'm a real estate broker, active real estate broker here in Indianapolis. Been practicing for like 23 years, so I bought them just along the way. I own 10 of them here in town, that I acquired over the last 15 years. So basically the market was right. I'm looking at moving to Arizona next year, and this is the last one I have to sell. I've sold off the other 9 over the last 2 years. So this is the last unit that I own that I'm looking to sell before I leave Indianapolis and head to Phoenix.
Got it. Okay. What's bringing you to Phoenix?
Weather. That's pretty much right.
I hear that. You don't like that polar vortex, huh?
Nah, it's been fine. I'm originally a Florida boy, I put over the Indy winters for over 25 years now. Time to leave it to those who can bear it.
Got it, man. How does a Florida boy end up in Indianapolis, of all places?
No, just after school, work brought me here, opportunity in the real estate space, and ended up here and meeting my wife and kind of just hung around for 25 years, and now we're looking to go west.
Nice. Awesome, man. I'm in San Diego. One of my partners is actually in Prescott, Arizona, so.
Okay, yeah, a little bit north.
Yep.
Yeah. Very familiar.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so I guess catch me up to speed with kind of like where exactly you and Erica left off.
So I was explaining to her that, I'm ultimately familiar with this process. I've sold the other units to investors as well, except for, I think, 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm familiar with the process in regards to, the offer up front, coming back, doing the inspection, and then possibly adjusting price based on the inspection. What I explained to her was that, the property has been, I took pride in my property. So all of them were in pristine shape, as this one is as well. So before the tenant moved in 2 years ago, I did a complete rehab. Didn't need anything extensive, but more cosmetic paint, floors, all new painting. Everything is updated. So the property is turnkey, and the tenant took good care of the property. She doesn't move out until December, but I explained to Erica that I'm willing to let you guys go in, take a look at it prior to making an offer to see exactly what you would want to do on pricing, because I wouldn't want to adjust after the offer has been made based on the condition of the property. Just to be transparent, I do have other investors that I've worked with that I've called to let them know that I'm selling in December. And I'm giving everybody the same opportunity to go in, take a look at it, make an assessment, giving your eyes the best. So yeah, that's pretty much what we discussed. I told her I would not want to close until December, until the tenant was out. That way the person who decides to buy it has a clean transition. They don't have to worry about getting the tenant out. And they can do a walkthrough as well to take a look at the property once the tenant moves out and make sure everything is up to speed as far as where they saw it, a month or so ago.
Got it. Okay. All right. That makes sense. When you say it's pristine, right? Like obviously, like there's a difference between, and I'm not talking to somebody that doesn't know what I'm about to say, but there's a difference between like, a 1980 Honda that's got, 15,000 miles on it from an old grandma who kept it in a barn, and a 2022 brand new Honda Accord, with all the bells and whistles. Like, where would you kind of set it? Like, is it up to 2022 standards as far as like fully updated, or are there still things that could be done to get top dollar for it?
Yeah, no, there's really nothing that needs to be done. Both bathrooms are updated with new vanities and new flooring. The tub is not like an old cast iron tub. It's this more of an updated shower. There's a half bathroom in the master with a full-size stackable washer and dryer that's brand new, 2 years 2 years, August 2020. So that's brand new. The kitchen has been updated 5 years ago. So I put a new cooktop in 2022 before the tenant moved in, put recessed lighting in throughout the place. So yeah, I mean, it's acceptable to today's standards.
And would you say like today's standards as a rental, or like, you know, if me and my family wanted to move in and we wanted everything like home and garden style, you know, I don't have to touch anything, like, you know, so when you did the kitchen, like cabinets, counters, appliances, everything was done, or just, you know, a couple things to get it ready?
It's cabinets, counters. I mean, it's more counter space for a unit that size. I've owned a couple of them out there in that complex. I updated that unit with a little bit more kitchen and cabinet space than the typical unit. So, yeah, I mean, it of course, you know, 5 years could be a lot of time based on updated kitchen. But I would move into place myself. Just to put this in context, I built a brand new townhome in Indy about 13 years ago, and I would move in that place myself. And actually, I have a personal relative that lives right in the 4 square section where that unit is. And who's been there for over, you know, I think 10 years now, at least. Maybe longer than that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I was going to actually keep the property for myself. I don't own anything on it. I was going to keep it for myself just as a crash pad if I ever came back and forth to Indy for any particular reason, but I just didn't want to hold it and be responsible for any maintenance. Not that there's much maintenance, because the association takes care of everything exterior-wise.
Okay.
And the only thing you're responsible for is just your little shrubs in the front and your personal space.
What's the HOA fee monthly?
$206.
And what do you currently have the rents at right now?
Well below market rent. It's a friend of the family who I've been renting for the last 2 years, so I'm only at $850 a month. But that property demands anywhere from $1,250 to $1,350 a month.
I'm guessing you're just self-managing it? You're not using property management at all?
Yeah, I self-manage all my units.
Got it, okay. Yeah, and I was looking at like public record, so I know you said there's no mortgage, so it's like sometimes the stuff is all not updated quickly and efficiently, but it's showing that there's still a loan or like a HELOC or something like that was taken out. It looks like back in like 2019, but that's all paid off and everything.
Well, I still have a line of credit on the unit with it's a zero balance. So.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, those typically don't get updated as effectively. All right, cool. So, I mean, like, what are you hoping to walk away with in a transaction? Like, what's going to be exciting for you?
Well, I mean, the market value of those properties over there at 108 to 110. I'll be looking to sell it right at 100. There may be a little bit of flex in there, given how fastly, you know, you guys can close, and if you guys are picking up all the closing expenses outside of just prorated rents and, you know, whatever filing fees that I have from the title company. So, yeah, you know, if you guys wanted to make a blind offer, I would just encourage someone to go out first. That way we're not going back and forth, and you make your best offer and we go from there with my recommendation.
Okay, all right. Let's just say, you know, for argument's sake, you know, I can come in at, you know, what you're looking for. I mean, how do I even make money at that number if the market value's 108, 110?
I mean, I would be coming in to lease it. I mean, if that were me purchasing the property, I think that would be the best opportunity, given that rents are, you know, $1,250 to $1,350. I mean, you're looking at, you know, 12-13% return, giving, you know, you got a little bit of expenses on it as far as taxes and HOA that will cut into it. Taxes are about, I should be ready to pay them now, $1,500 a year, and HOA is $200, basically $206. So you probably have about $350 expenses on it monthly. So I mean, if you had that high number of $1,350, you're still clearing $1,000 a month on that property. So you're still talking about a 12% return annually.
Got it. Okay. Well, so just to kind of give you insight on like how we do our numbers. So one, we don't self-manage anything. I mean, we're buying properties all over the country, so we're operating in a bunch of different states. So we always use property management. We're always setting aside for vacancy, maintenance, and repairs throughout. And total, those two things combined is generally about 25%. So let's just say, for argument's sake, we can get $1,350 a month, right? $1,350 times 0.75 is 1,012, and then minus that 206 a month. So now I'm at 806 a month. 806. I mean, if I gave you 100, it's probably going to end up being like 105 after it's all said and done. So, I mean, it's going to take me 11 years just to get my money back on that. And that doesn't even include the fact that, we don't use our own cash in these transactions. We're using investors. So not even factoring in any interest on that money, it's going to take me, 12 to 15 years to get my money back on something like this. So just to be totally transparent, we buy homes two different ways. Have the normal run-of-the-mill, which is probably what most of the buyers that you're going to get is just a cash offer. Everything that we do, we have to look through the lens of the velocity of money, right? Like how fast can I make my money multiply, right? So you get it. You've been in the game for a while. With something we're buying cash, we're generally not keeping those types of properties. We're getting in, we're doing a value add, and then we're going to get out as quickly as possible. Take out any equity we can, build into the deal through some sort of renovation, value add, whatever it is, right? So in those scenarios, our offer is typically looked at as like a low ball offer. So I mean, I probably, if that's the only way you're looking to sell, I probably wouldn't be your buyer at that number, just because there's really no way for me to quickly turn that over and make my money back. And if it was, if I was just like, hey, I'm, doing this other full-time gig and I'm looking to pick up a couple rentals for like long term, I'm playing the long game, like, yeah, sure, that might make sense for me. But for us, it's all about just the speed of money. So the other way that we buy properties is on terms. Is that something you're familiar with?
Yeah, I'm familiar with terms, and I expressed to Erica that I wouldn't be interested in terms. I'm not trying to have any time obligation into the property once I leave. I'm trying to be completely lit with the property once I'm done selling. So,
got it.
I get it. I mean, it's just numbers to everybody.
Yeah, totally.
In equation. But, I would say if you need to take a look at the numbers and come back with something that would be suitable for you guys, but, no insult to me, whatever the number is, just put it together and let me know when you guys would start to say, hey, given the property is in the condition that you state it's in, here's what we would offer. And, if it's something that I would be willing to entertain, I mean, it'll just be an issue of having confidence to know that that number is not going to waver. You guys went in to do your assessment.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. So, okay, so I get that. Just out of curiosity, I mean, like, let's say you get a buyer that comes in $100K cash. I mean, what's your next plan? I mean, is that just going to go in a bank account? Are you going to throw that in the stock market? Kind of what's your plan with that?
I do several things. I sell cash secured puts. I do options trading. I have, a personal residence that's paid for. So I have some flexibility in regards to what I'll do with the cash. It may be possibly utilized going forward, to purchase something out in the Phoenix area, in combination with what I have, what I can sell my personal residence for. It's unknown right now. I know there's a downturn coming, so I might come back into, the space. It just all depends on what opportunities present themselves.
Got it. Okay. What kind of, I appreciate you telling me that, but I'm curious, what kind of returns are you typically seeing with some of the other stuff that you're doing? I know the market's kind of crazy right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, on cash secured puts trading, I'm doing at least 1% a month, and then we're talking about high volatility plays that I get into based around earnings. If I'm in high volatility plays on straddle options, just for instance, I can do 35-40% in one day.
Got it. Okay. But that's like you said, the high volatility, right? So it's like, yeah, you could make a lot, but you could also, crap the bed, right? It's like,
yeah, but I place bets on both sides. One side is going to go to zero. The other side is going to make up for the loss on the other side, plus give me a 20 or 30 or 40% return.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's a world that I'm not like too knowledgeable about. I like to pick up a couple little tips here and there, but that's definitely not my wheelhouse. I stick with the real estate. So
I can assure you, if you ever got a complete understanding of it, you would probably not be involved in real estate. I mean, I'm a real estate guy. Like I said, I've been a broker for over 23 years, but I can take that $100,000 instead of dealing with a tenant and everything that comes with owning a piece of property, the liability and tenant involvement or just selling the property. I could take an index like the S&P 500 and the entire $100,000 and bet a position on the downside instead of the market going up. I'm betting on the downside. And I can comfortably make 1% a month on my money and not even be at, extreme risk exposure. I mean, my risk involvement on that trade would be, less than 20% as far as being assigned a particular stock or fund that I may not want or may not want to spend the money on. But if I do get assigned the position, then I'm going to make another 1% on the upside at the bare minimum, selling the right to sell it at a later date. This is my exit. I'd much rather take 5 minutes a day, put a position in and make 1% than, be hands-on and involved in real estate. And that's not real estate by any means because it's done me well. But yeah, going forward, it's much easier for me to sit with my laptop anywhere in the world and make a trade in 5 minutes and make 1% on 100,000. Or if I wanted to be a little bit more risky, I can make at the bare minimum 5% a day.
Got it. Okay. Well, have you ever considered note investing?
I've done some notes in the past, more of a short-term thing, 6 months were the notes that I were involved in. So, haven't done it in quite some time, but, my structure was basically if someone came to me and they wanted to purchase a piece of real estate for, let's just say, it's $100,000 property, what I would do is, depending on, and these were mainly distressed units.
Yeah.
So, say, for instance, a $100,000 property, once all the numbers came in, it can be no more than like maybe 48 to 50,000 distressed. They'll be purchasing. So I will put up the 50,000 with the rehab. It can be no more than like, I prefer 67 to 70% loan to value after rehab. So I would put a lien on the property for the entire amount of the cash, 70,000, and then I will write them a note at 12% per annum, deferred payments for 6 months.
Yep.
And they would actually have to basically, if they were selling the property, then I would get my interest at the end of that 6 months, or, if it was prorated, they sold it before the 6 month time frame, it was prorated. And then I would get 20% shared equity on the back end. So, if they sold it for 100, I would charge them 1%, basically a month. And then on the back end, that was on the 70,000. And then on the back end, if they, sold it and made 30 grand, I got 20% shared equity on that.
Cool. Well, so yeah, no, I appreciate you telling me all that. It sounds like you got some experience in it. I can totally appreciate, the lack of desire to want to do like a term sale. Just so we're clear, I'm not talking about like a lease option or a rent to own scenario. I'm just talking about literally straight seller finance, right? Like down payment, create a note. Now, again, I wouldn't want to offend you with a cash offer, especially with the way the market's going. I mean, we're about to head into a recession, so I can almost with 1,000% certainty guarantee you're probably not going to take a cash offer that we would make you. But I want to plant a seed. Like, I think what you should do, really what I think you should do, since you're a broker, is you should just list it, because I think you'll make a lot more money and you could just do that yourself. But it doesn't sound like you want to do that. Alternatively, I think you should see what type of cash offers you get, and then keep me as a backup. And, either A, we just do a seller finance deal that makes sense for you, or B, if you're not trying to hold that note, then we create a seller finance note, and then we sell the note at a little bit of a discount so that you get cashed out, but that way you get your position taken care of and I get the benefit that I need in order for me to cash flow the deal.
What's the term and a rate on the note?
I mean, it all depends. I mean, like in this scenario, we would be upgrading you from the landlord to the lender. So, I don't go to Chase Manhattan Bank and be like, hey, here, here's the terms I want. So really that's kind of up to you to determine. We kind of structure it. We put it together in a spreadsheet, and based on the monthly payments and, the down money and whatnot, we figure out what makes the most sense. I would say if we're going to, just being totally transparent, if you're going to test the market, see what you can get from these other guys out there and, nothing works for you and we're going to work together on this, I would say let's structure something. At the end of the day, right, you're only caring about cashing out. So the percentage isn't necessarily a huge deal for you, right? So it's just a matter of what can we sell that for and to get you the money that you need to cash out. But if I'm wrong about that and you do care about the interest and the terms and everything, then, that's a different discussion and that's more you carrying the note. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can tell you the highest cash offer I received thus far, and I have another investor going by either tomorrow or Friday to give an assessment, but 92.5.
Got it. Yeah.
92.5, and that was based on them seeing the property and everything else. So.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I was you and I got that offer, I would take that and run.
Yeah. I mean, and it may end up being that way. I don't know. Just based on because if I list the property, I can't technically say I'm going to get one or because activity has slowed down, and then of course the interest rates have taken a lot of people out of the market. I can't say that I would get that top number of 108 to 110.
Yeah.
Being that I have to consider broker fees and everything else, inspection, traditional inspection, and possibly somebody coming back because this is the first time home buyer typical property, so they're going to want probably more things done on the inspection, even though they're minor. We have to go back, volley back and forth on that end of it. So by the time the smoke clears, I mean, I may be at, having to list it for 103 or 105 and, broker fees and all of that. So I'm probably going to come out somewhere closer to like 98, 97.
Okay.
So to me, at the end of the day, if that's the highest I get from a cash offer investor, then I would cut my headache of everything else in between and just selling at that $5,000 discount.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, consider this, right? So just as you're thinking, right? Because I think, we're not going to make anything happen today, right? Like, I think, that 92 offer sounds like a really good offer. I would obviously make sure they're, non-contingent, not trying to assign the contract. But, for me, when we're looking from a cash flowing standpoint, we're not trying to make $1,000 a month on these properties. Like our target is if we can make $400 a month in cash flow after all of our CapEx and everything, then we're pretty happy, right? So let's just say it could rent for right in the middle, $1,300, right? After, vacancy, repairs, maintenance, HOA and everything. I mean, that's going to eat into about 530 of that. So then we'd be left with like 770. And so as long as we can create a note where, the payment is around like $300 a month for us, then we can cash flow kind of right around the number that we need to. So if, again, you can either A, hold that note, or B, if really cashing out and then putting it into your other investments is the way you want to go, then, we work together on selling that note. I know some note investors and buyers, and obviously you can go on PaperStack and other places to sell those notes to other note investors at a discount. And then we work something out where maybe we create the note for the full amount, and then figure out what the discount sale on that note is, and then we use the difference. We come up with the difference as a down payment to you or something like that. That way, you're making a little more money on the property. We're getting the terms that make sense for us. Everybody wins, everybody's happy, and we walk away. Obviously, it's not the cleanest, smoothest transaction. It's not just easy peasy, but 99% of people that I talk to, I would never even bring up this strategy because they just don't understand it, and the confusion would kill them. But for someone that's savvy like yourself, I think you'll understand the value in it, and what it does for us and what it does for you and what it does for that note investor.
But I was asking, how are these notes rated when they put them out there as far as PaperStack and all these other platforms?
What do you mean? Because that's kind of not my wheelhouse. Like, I have a partner that handles like all the note side of things. I just know enough to have the conversation and based on things that we've done with other sellers in the past. So that's not, it's definitely not my area of expertise for sure, but one of my partners.
What I'm asking, the notice is typically like a bond. You're buying a stream of cash flow, right? Yeah. So my question is, how are the notes rated as far as the highest percentage of guarantee of the cash flow that you're buying? So if I decide to spend $50,000 to buy, I don't know, a $200 a month cash flow note, how is that note graded per se on its assurance to pay? Or what collateral is the note backed by?
Oh, the property. It's a
property.
It'd be a first position. We'd be creating a first position note on the property, so it would be backed by, by the title, title deed.
Okay, so the value of the property determines the percentage of. Well, I guess because I'm just thinking about this PaperStack. If I want to go out there and buy a note, and maybe I'll get off into this conversation with you. Said your partner that has a little bit more insight on it. Yeah. But I'm just trying to just figure out if I bought the note and I'm buying basically the value of the property at what percentage.
Yeah,
buying? You see what I'm saying? At what percentage that I'm? Yeah,
like what kind of discount?
$100,000 am I paying for straight up $100,000 for $100,000 property for that note, or is it a property that's $130,000 and I'm paying $100,000 the cash flow off of the $130,000 or off the $100,000 that I'm putting up? Yeah,
I got you. So like, what kind of are they buying it dollar per dollar? Or are they buying it at a discount? What's that discount? Yeah, I mean, I know the typical yield that most of the guys are looking for is about a 12% yield, and basically it just depends. Like, the discount that note buyers are usually going to buy at typically depend on the different terms, right? One is like, what's for that particular state? What's the traditional foreclosure timeline? What's the stated interest rate, the terms of the original funding? If you're wrapping it versus just taking a second or anything like that, or is it a first position note? Is it a well-seasoned note? Have they been paying for, a period of 12, 24, 30, whatever the, however many months, or is it a fresher note? So it all just depends. It varies, but I think, like, we've done a deal in the past where we bought, one of my partners ended up structuring this deal where it was kind of similar to this. The guy needed the cash out. We couldn't make the numbers work. He was just getting a lot of lowball offers. We wanted it as a rental, and so we did a deal. I forget the exact terms of the deal, but it was essentially very similar. We came up, we said, okay, we'll create a note for, a 30-year note, at whatever the interest rate was. Here's the monthly payment that makes it cash flow for us as a property. And then we helped them sell it on PaperStack or one of those other, there's like 5 other sites, I guess, that these note investors use. and helped him sell the note. And then obviously it was like a discount. I don't know, it was like 20% discount off the note or something like that. And then basically, because that was the agreed upon price that we were purchasing it, we just used that. We just paid him that 20% up front, or whatever that number was. Again, I don't remember the exact terms. But that way he was whole. He got his, the cash down payment up front, sold the note, got the remaining balance. We had the essentially what is now a mortgage in place on the property at a better rate than traditional financing, better terms, and and now the note investor is going to ride that out for however long they want, or they'll sell it off, or however they're going to make their money.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
One of my partners, Matt, this is his wheelhouse for sure. Like, all he does is stare at these types of spreadsheets, so he could talk to you about this stuff all day. I just know enough to kind of plant the seed, and and again, like I said, this is not a conversation that I'm having on a day-to-day basis with people, because 9 out of 10 people, just having the seller financing conversation is too confusing for them, let alone, how do we sell that note,
I got you. Like I said, the tenant will be moving in December. I may want a little bit more information on this note. I wouldn't mind a stream of cash flow if I was hands off. And are you guys paying just straight interest on a note? Or is it
so we can
on a mortgage?
Yeah, we can structure it, a million different ways. Again, like for us, it's like the analogy I always give is like, hey, if I was going to sell you a $100,000 house for $1 million, would you buy it? Everybody's like, no. But if I told you you could make 1 million monthly payments of $1, would you buy it? Well, hell yeah, because you can cash flow the heck out of it, right? So as long as we can cash flow about $400 a month on the rent, then however we structure it, we don't really care, right? And the benefit for the sellers in a lot of these scenarios is it gives us the ability to come up to a higher number, and get them more money for the property, because we're just looking at it like, what can it produce for us, right? It's like most people, like this is the analogy for a cash deal versus like a terms deal. A cash deal is like, hey, I want to make orange juice, so I'm going to go buy oranges and I'm going to squeeze the juice out of them and make orange juice, right? The terms deal is like, no, I'm going to go buy a bag of seeds of orange trees and I'm going to plant a bunch of orange trees in my little freaking garden, and I'm going to have those oranges for the rest of my life.
Yeah, the golden goose.
Exactly. So yeah, but like for you, I mean, it sounds like cleaner, quicker, fast cash, closing out the transactions, more what you're looking for. So, I would probably explore those other cash buyers and see what makes the most sense for you. And if none of those are really working out, to the way that you would like it to, and we can be a backup, I think this is a good creative way to kind of solve the problem you're looking for to get you that cash. Helps us out. Everybody wins. Alternatively, if at that point you're like, you know what, maybe I do want to hold the note and keep the note in place, like, we're cool with that too.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess I'll just put you can put a, reminder to give me a follow up, I guess, kind of mid-December.
Okay.
See where I am with things. And then I should have a better assessment at that point in time, which way I would want to go if the numbers aren't working for me.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Now, I'll tell you this on the front end. I will do my best to contact you in the middle of December. For context, my wife and I are adopting a baby, and that baby is due December 12th. So
nice. Okay.
I may be, this is our first child, so I may be, knee deep in diapers and a lot of things. So I will do my best. I'll put it on my calendar. Usually I'm pretty good about, keeping those, but my life might be a little crazier at that moment. So
yeah, I get it. I'll what was your name again?
My name's Chris Deal.
Chris, okay.
Like, let's make a deal.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just lock you in as Chris, note investor.
Okay.
So I'll just set a reminder, to reach out to you if I don't hear from you.
Okay.
Sometime around mid-December, if I don't have the number I was looking for.
Yeah, that sounds good. And if you end up moving forward with one of these other cash guys, no problem, man. It's got whatever works for you. And then just shoot me a text, and just let me know, hey, I ended up moving forward with this other guy. And then aside from that, definitely keep my number because, as I mentioned, we don't use a lot of our own cash. We use a lot of investors. Most of it is private investors, like friends, family, a lot. Actually, I'd say most of the private money that we're working with is sellers who have sold a property, cashed out a lot of equity, and now they're looking for something to do with it, and they don't want to dump it in the stock market because obviously, unless you know what you're doing, like yourself, it's kind of a crapshoot right now. So I can connect you with our director of finance. He can kind of go over how we do private money lending deals and things like that. And we're going to be doing some multifamily stuff at some point. So he could talk more about whether you need to be accredited or non-accredited or whatnot, all that jazz.
Okay. Yeah, I would be interested in hearing what he has to say and just how things are structured and because I am looking more for some just this revenue stream passive investments, so outside of just dividend paying stocks. I want to be back into the real estate space, but just not as a landlord. That's a passive.
Exactly. The landlording's a young man's game, man. You don't want to keep doing that as you're getting older and going towards retirement and stuff like that.
I jumped in. I bought my first property at 21, 22, and like I said, I'm 46 now. So, like I said, they served their purpose, and they did well for me. But yes, it's just time to move on to something that's a little bit more hands off.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, let's stay connected. I'll put you in here. I got you locked in. I'll reach out to you mid-December if I don't hear anything sooner. And then, let's get connected. If you want to get more information, or you want to chat with, with my other partner who does a lot of notes, I can link you guys up. And then if you want to talk to our director of finance for any of the private money lending stuff, just, let me know. Shoot me a text, and I'll get you guys linked up.
Okay, awesome. All right. If I don't hear from you between now and December, man, congratulations on the baby.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry, remind me how to pronounce your name again?
It's Karab, but, KP. I go by KP. So KP Fuller.
Okay, cool.
KP.
Awesome. Yep. All right, appreciate you, KP. Have a great rest of your day, man.
Okay, likewise.
All right, see ya.
All right, bye.
All right. Guys, that was a friggin' stellar call. Pulled the rug right out from under him. Not going to be your buyer on a cash deal. But notice how he was totally turned off to terms. And I just went straight backdoor, right? You could have these conversations and go battle to battle. Well, yeah, but don't you want cash flow? Don't you want to be the bank? And don't you want to be this? And don't you want blah, 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 right? He was closed off to terms. So, okay, got it. No worries. Well, let me ask you, if you got that $100K, what are you going to do with it? Awesome. You can put it under other investments. They started talking about the stock market and different things that he's doing. And then rather than go back to the terms conversation, hey, have you ever considered note investing? Why am I asking him if he's ever considered note investing? Because that's basically what terms is. You're a note investor. You just happen to own the property that you're creating the note on that you're selling. If somebody's open to being a note investor, they're open to seller finance. It's the same exact thing. And so you just have to get over that barrier of the idea of oh, I don't want to do seller finance. There's something icky about it. I'm still tied to my property. Okay, cool. You need the cash. Why don't we do this? We'll create a seller finance note, help you sell the note, and then pay you the difference in a down payment. All we care about is the terms. If we can structure it in a way where we can cash flow, then it's a win-win-win for everybody. You get your cash. And notice how through that conversation, all of a sudden, he's I wouldn't mind carrying the paper on this. That's a seller finance deal all day. So do not feel like just because they're closed off to terms, you can't get the deal. Now, again, just like I told him, I would never have that same conversation with 95% of the people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis. But the reality is, he's a savvy guy. He understands finance. He understands investing. And so this is the perfect opportunity to have that type of conversation. So I hope you guys got value out of that. That's one of the first times I've had that conversation with a seller. But, I would love to hear your guys' feedback because, I can always learn. I'm a student of the game. And so I want to learn how other people are doing things. What's working for you? Have you ever had a conversation like that? Have you ever pitched a deal where you seller finance it and then help them sell the note and all that jazz? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get notified of more seller calls like this, because we're going to be doing a lot of them over the coming months. So appreciate you guys staying tuned, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.